Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mike Taglavia. You are listening to Right Side Up. I do have a co-host again this morning, thankfully, Allison Despathy. Allison, how are you?
I am great. Good morning, Mike. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so thankful to have you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I want to jump right into this because there's a lot going on. Okay, we're out of session. Everybody thinks, oh, they can't do anything to us while they're out of session. Wrong.
I know.
Wrong.
Unfortunately
So,
wrong.
We have regional and county governance looming over our heads.
Mm-hmm.
Regional planning commissions, ladies and gentlemen. Way back in the day, they may have been useful and helpful, and some still are.
Yes.
I attended a meeting in Fairleigh at Fairleigh Town Hall. It was an informational given by Two Rivers Adequachi Regional Planning Commission. Mm-hmm. My district has two different regional planning commissions. Two Rivers is one, and Central Vermont is for two of my towns.
Right.
So this informational was an eye-opener.
And I think for some people listening, you may not necessarily be familiar with regional planning commissions, but they were put in place originally to support municipalities' planning commissions. What sort of support did they need? What sort of information? You know, they were never intended to be this, like you said, regional governance regulatory structure.
Right.
And now we're seeing them pushing the limits.
An evolution.
Yes.
Incrementally more and more authority. And
for unelected people,
bureaucrats, and has already been mentioned on, I've seen on social media, this is one of those things that people are saying, and I agree, it's going to need a legislative fix.
Yes, definitely.
So,
and the people are trying. The people are trying to put them in their place. But when you've got people who have this ideology and this zealotry, you know, writing these plans and using them in a regulatory capacity.
Yeah. As we heard last night, one of the reasons was some of the statutes that the legislature has put in place. For example, the Global Warming Solutions Act last night was quoted from. This is why we're doing and putting in this language. This is why, ladies and gentlemen, the push has been to get rid of, repeal. There were two bills to modify.
Yes.
One was to repeal. One was just take the mandates and make them goals.
Yes.
Repeal is the best option.
And the Global Warming Solutions Act was passed in 2020 again with the supermajority over the governor's veto.
Yes.
And it requires greenhouse gas reduction requirements. And if
to
we don't
1990s levels, this is
crazy.
going backwards. How are we going to have growth? Economic growth, not the growth of housing. With no jobs, with no economic growth, what's the purpose of more housing here?
And the other thing that we have to keep in mind is if we don't meet these requirements, we can be sued, and Conservation Law Foundation.
Oh, and that was mentioned already last night, too.
Right. The Conservation Law Foundation already tried to sue Agency of Natural Resources. Yes. Fortunately, that was sort of blocked, but they're going to come back again. And I think the thing for Vermonters, for all of us to keep in mind, is that we have the lowest amount of greenhouse gas emissions in the entire country here in Vermont. We have 76+% of our state forested. So if you're concerned about carbon, there's your carbon sequestration right there. And why in Vermont do we have these greenhouse gas emissions? It's for heat and transportation. Those are necessities where we live. So to try to knock that down and push people, it's all just going to be more money, more barriers, and make it more difficult for people to afford to live here and businesses to be viable.
And that's ignoring the fact that we have seen with the small amount of increase in CO2, an increase in greening. NASA has reported it.
The plants eat it up.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, it's plant food. We exhale carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is produced in many ways, comes out of the ocean.
Yep.
And guess what? The plants, the trees, the food you want to eat if you are a vegetarian, or if you like, I don't know, potatoes or green beans with your steak.
Or the cows that eat the grass,
or the
and
cows
we get the
that
steak.
Eat the grass.
Exactly.
So we need to keep all of this, look at the entire puzzle, not just 3 or 4 pieces.
Right.
That's the problem we're faced with,
right.
where people are concentrating on 1 or 2 pieces of the puzzle while not looking at the big picture. And it's this art of distraction that we've fallen for as a
Right.
population. And we need to have more and more people out there saying, look, okay, that's two pieces of the puzzle. Now let's zoom out and look at the bigger picture.
Right.
And where do we stand? Zoom out in with respect to time. Okay, like you brought up, carbon sequestration and CO2. Zoom out 1,000 years, then zoom out 1,000,000 years.
Right.
And look at the increases of temperature versus carbon dioxide. And you're going to find out that carbon dioxide doesn't cause increase in temperature. It's the other way around.
And it's also so arrogant of us humans to think that nature, it hasn't figured this whole sort of carbon cycle out. I mean, you're
Yeah.
talking about the building block of life. So
Yes.
like you were talking about the exchange that humans have with plants.
Yes.
And then think of like the mycorrhizal, like the amazing fungal network that lives in the forest floors that sequesters and holds the carbon and exchanges it with the trees. I mean, it's this amazing system. So to come after Vermonters and sort of smash us down and say, you have to reduce your greenhouse gas emissions. It's insanity. So just
is
back to with
insanity.
Two Rivers. So they were basically trying to use this to justify their
the
overreach.
language, yes,
Right,
the,
right.
the regulatory language rather than the advisory language.
Right.
And it was kicked back to the excuse was they were following orders, taking their marching orders from the legislature.
That's not their
So
job.
we get to, well, the argument yesterday in the middle of all of the filibustering.
Right.
And really, and
You mean
I
word
tried-
salad? You
Yeah.
mean word salad?
Filibustering, word salad, that and not really answering questions. I asked a number of questions. There were a number of really good questions asked, and most people left feeling like the questions that were asked were not answered.
Right. So
Okay, they were
totally
not
sidestepped. Yeah.
And you know what? Perfect example. I asked, well, where is the growth? How do we get growth here? And right away, the answer jumped to growth in housing. That wasn't what I asked. And finally, after almost 20, 25 minutes, I raised my hand again and I said, that's not what I was talking about. I was talking about business, the economy. And there really, truly wasn't an answer. There was a slideshow that was, I guess it's been rolled out in numerous meetings like this.
Yes.
But it didn't really show any business, any industry, any large businesses are going to employ 150 people in a community, in a town. Other than, it wasn't brought up, but it seems like whatever towns have really developed, if they have more than 10,000 population, like we've said, even during the 181 debate, 3% of Vermont, it's still, my takeaway from that meeting last night was the 3% of Vermont that got the gold mine are keeping it.
Right.
Are keeping
This
it.
is like
Small
the country
rural
club.
districts, yes.
This is the country club. It's elitist. It's you've got to have a lot of money if you're going to build a home here, if you're going to have a business here. I mean, just as an example for everybody, is one of the pieces, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, in the Two Rivers draft plan at this time, which people are hoping they're going to change, is that any new construction would be no fossil fuel. You would have heat pumps that you would need to be doing. You couldn't have any fossil fuel in the
that was
mix.
brought up last night also.
And this is
this is why
extreme.
the Global Warming Solutions Act was used as the excuse.
And if you've talked to anybody, I mean, I was very actively involved in opposing the clean heat standard. And if you were talking to people, they had to say they would put 4 heat pumps in their house. Midway through the winter, they're like, oh my gosh, this is not working for us. The cost is so expensive. We have to remove 2, put some fossil fuel or propane or something in here to actually try to heat our home. I mean, this is unrealistic and dangerous and just creating more barriers and risk for Vermonters.
Yeah.
And so the question, of course, at this time is, are they going to make any changes and actually respond to the concerns of the people?
Well, the answers I seem to remember were we may or we can, but there was no we will change.
Right.
I didn't hear we will change. When there were questions asked about changes and I can't remember all of them. I was trying to take notes, but it was just like
It's an accountability issue. It's
it
like,
was
who
very
are they
eye-opening.
accountable to, and how can they be allowed to impose this on their towns?
Well, this to me looks like, after seeing the 181 debate, this looks like a last-ditch effort and a workaround to the loss that was the advent and the passage of 325,
Right.
S325.
Right.
Rural Vermont had a win. One win in
Many
a long,
more to go. Many more to go.
to go.
Yes, yes.
Okay, and now we see that the planning commissions, regional planning commissions, are the weakness, and they need to be addressed as well if we are going to have our towns maintain local control.
Mm-hmm.
Every one of my towns, Corinth, Orange, Washington, and Vershire, they all have their own personalities.
Yep, exactly.
They all evolve differently for different reasons. That's what makes Vermont so great.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking with someone from Topsom, and he was talking about the same ideas, about the personalities, the reasons for the way their towns grew or didn't grow.
Yep.
What put them on the map, kept them on the map. Their families, staying close-knit families within miles or maybe on the same farm, just expanding the number of homes.
Exactly.
The homestead. This is what, if we are very not careful, we will watch dissolve.
Yeah.
And it will be one thing, and I keep saying this, and I really believe it's true until we make these corrections. The history and the personality and the reason, the draw for Vermont, the reason Vermont is actually known worldwide, not just countrywide, is going to be something that you can only view in a museum
Right.
or read about in a book.
Right.
You will not be able to come and live it. I talked about, asking about growth, and it was in, I think, Fairleigh was on the map, and he was talking about how many thousands.
And this is Kevin Geiger.
Yes,
who was
how
talking,
many
yep.
thousands of homes or housing units, because that was brought up, the definition, could actually exist, but it's not Hillside Farms. There was no mention
Not
of
the
Hillside
homesteads,
Farms.
not the homesteads.
It was all
Right.
these squares or rectangles with people stacked in
This
them.
is the central
This is a
planning.
reference.
This is the crazy central planning, top down. This is what
This
we're
is-
going to do to your town.
This is
not
why I say
for
that,
your town.
Exactly, to
Right.
your town, because
Right.
this is not how Fairleigh came about,
Right.
how it evolved,
Right.
and the change will not reflect. I mean, you drive up 91, I don't know, what is it, 2.5 hours to Fairleigh, only to have it look exactly like someplace in Massachusetts.
Right.
Why even bother?
Right.
Why
exactly.
even bother?
I know. And you saw this obviously roll out in Long Island in New York, where you were from.
Yeah.
And it's trying to make it so that Vermonters and all of us can continue to afford to live here and to have our families
Yes.
here. Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what's being blocked. That's what's being blocked.
This is the thing, you brought that up. Oh, zoning will fix it. All these restrictions will fix it. No, it won't. It's about your attitude. It's about your integrity. It's about the virtue. What do you want your town to look like? Do you want it to look like a town full of hillside farms with the rural character? Why are hillside farms not rural character? Why is only looking up the hill and seeing leaves and trees in the summertime and bare trees and mountainside and maybe seeing a deer or a moose walking across? Why is that the only thing that represents
And this
rural
is sort of
character?
like quote unquote like smart growth versus letting people live on and with the land, as has been the case in Vermont forever.
Smart growth is what the landowner and the town decide what it is,
Right.
not what a regional planning commission decides,
Right.
not what the legislature decides.
Right.
I understand the fear. We're not going to have Walmarts every 10 miles. Walmart has bean counters, and they know exactly where to put those
Yeah, we don't
places.
have the volume for
No,
that.
we
Exactly.
absolutely don't.
Exactly.
And that's one of those things through this shell game and this, oh, look at the shiny object over here, this distraction approach to keep people off guard and looking in a direction where we really don't need to be looking.
While we get taken advantage of.
While we get taken advantage
Exactly,
of.
exactly.
And the meeting was well intended. We can talk more about the meeting in a little bit because we've already burned through the first segment,
Okay.
Allison. So, but there's a lot to talk about. Please, ladies and gentlemen, find out from your local planning commission when their meetings are. Find out when they go to regional planning commission meetings, when they are. You can look them up. We've got to go. We'll be right back. You're listening to Right Side Up. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to Right Side Up. My name is Mike Taglavia. My co-host is Allison Despathi. Okay, so lots more to talk about. Private property rights, what's going on with your planning commission, what kind of guidance or worse they're getting from your regional planning commission. We left off with finding out in your town, they probably have a website. Go to your town website, click on where they're find the planning commission, click on it, and you can probably find a lot of their minutes, their agendas, but also you will probably be able to find a link to your regional planning commission.
Yes.
And go on that one and find out when they're having meetings, when they're having informationals. I know a lot has happened with social media because of 181 and now Rural Vermont Rising. There are a lot of people posting things on that social media page.
Yes, very informative,
Yes.
educational, very helpful. If you are on Facebook, social media, checking out Rural Vermont Rising it's really keeping people up to date of some of the things we need to keep an eye on.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So that's one of the things. Keeping yourself informed. How we end the show all the time.
Always, right.
Stay safe, stay informed.
Right.
Keep yourself informed. Don't be broadsided by this. How many people found, and how many people still don't know about what 181
I know,
did,
right.
what S325 saved them, because, okay, I'm too busy.
That was a save, just like the avoiding the clean heat standard. That was a big save because how these things would have impacted Vermonters is just out of control. And the other thing I want to say, Mike, if you don't mind me just plugging in here, is I think it's also important. Everybody is so busy. We're living our lives. We're working hard, raising families. Trying to have fun and find time to play as well. Like that's what life is about, that balance.
Yes.
And so if you don't have time, like many people don't, to go digging around on your town website to look for minutes, just call the select board chair, call the planning commission person. They are your public servants. They work for you. They need to get back to you if you have questions, just to say, what's going on? Should I be concerned here? Is there something going on that I need to tune into? So that's another way, just to go right direct to them, because they do serve you. And I think many of them know and act like that, but some of them forget. And obviously, this is what we're starting to see happen in some of the towns who are allowing this. The other thing I want to say, Mike, is one of the things that I have noticed, because I'm planning commission chair in Danville. I'm not speaking for the commission right now. I'm speaking as myself. But absolutely what I have seen is that many of the special interest groups are going to the energy commissions, the planning commissions, the regional planning commissions, and they are trying to exert their agendas there to fill in where they may not have succeeded as they may have wanted to on a legislative level at the State House. So I think keeping in mind that there are, as we're seeing with Two Rivers, some of this influence and this special interest coming in and affecting these plans that then affect our towns and affect us and our ability to do what we need to do on our land and in our communities.
They affect, in most cases, we're finding that you have a negative effect.
Yes.
A negative financial effect, negative effect when it comes to your private property rights, what you can do on your land without asking permission, without paying a fee, without hiring an engineer, without hiring an attorney for legal advice.
Right.
This all costs money and time.
Right.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't have the time to pay attention now, you're definitely not going to have the time or the money later when this stuff, when somebody's telling you, oh, this happened 2 years ago, you didn't know about it, and somebody's dumping the onus on you when some of it could have been posted, some of it may not have been, because there were plenty of people last night at the meeting who were saying, how do I find these notifications? Because I didn't get it from anywhere in my town, and I didn't get any notification from the RPC. And the RPC was happy to sign people up to get their new newsletter, but I specifically asked, where is there a place to go on the website and sign up for emails?
Right.
And there is not one.
Right. And this is where we want to block this stuff from happening. We don't want it to take hold and then have to sort of do this retroactive, try to take it back and repeal it. We need to block it from happening.
Let's not have to go that route.
Right.
Otherwise, there's so much wasted time. Look at what we did with S325.
Oh, my goodness.
We are finding out, ladies and gentlemen, now that a large portion of the 2023 and a large portion of the 2024 session with respect to Energy and Environment Committee.
Yes.
Because it was a dual, it wasn't two separate committees back then. A large portion of that time was taken up with Act 59 and Act 181. And now
Yes.
look what we did. In last session, in 2026, we actually had to dismantle some of it.
Yes.
Some of it.
And there's more to do for
There is
sure.
definitely more to do. So
Right.
this was my point is that was a lot of wasted time. When we could have been concentrating on affordability, we made the affordability issue worse instead of better.
Right.
In those two sessions, in the 2023-2024 session, that's a fact.
Mm-hmm.
Look at what came out of it. Look at where we are today. Are you better off today? Do you have more money in the bank?
Right.
I seriously doubt it.
No, people are stressing out, exactly.
Yes.
And that's where it's like extremism is never good, and the
Yeah.
supermajority took it to the extreme. I'll add to your list. You said Act 59, which is our 30 by 30, 50 by
Yep.
50. You said
Yes.
Act 181.
Yep.
I would also add to that, obviously, Global Warming Solutions Act, as we
Yes.
mentioned a bit back, Renewable Energy Standard. And Mike, you're like famous for saying we got to go back to the green books.
Yes.
It's in the green books. These are the things we need to clean up. And Vermonters, we need Vermonters engaged to try to get this stuff fixed, or literally in the next 5-10 years, we're going to be feeling horrible repercussions from these bad laws.
And-
And one thing I did want to add, Mike, if you don't mind, I think it's just, this is an important quote that was in the minutes. So the Land Use Review Board
Yes.
is the sort of Act 250 board. They're the one reviewing the Regional Planning Commission's draft plans, these
Yes.
concerns we're talking about.
Yeah.
And I just want to point out that at a pre-application meeting for Two Rivers Ottaquechee Regional Planning Commission, and this was on June 26th, one of the quotes from one of the Land Use Review Board members. Her name is Brooke Dingledine. And I just want to read this because her and Alex, another member of the Land Use Review Board, they specifically called out. So it's not just the members of the communities calling out the issue, but they themselves, as the Land Use Review Board, specifically said, I'll just read this from the minutes. Brooke Dingledine reiterated concerns echoing Alex Weinhagen about the regional plan's use of mandatory language that could function as quasi-zoning and urged retaining the aspirational intent of planning documents. She emphasized the need for consistency between town and regional plans, referencing the use of mandatory language shall, not should, to establish clear written community standards such as for ridgeline protections, etc. And it goes on. So she's specifically saying, here we have the Two Rivers saying shall, and that is regulatory.
It is regulatory.
And that is
it was
out of their
pointed out-
league. That is an infringement. That's an overreach, whatever we want to call it. And that's got to be rolled back. And this is obviously what some of your towns, as well as other towns in Two Rivers, are starting to attend these meetings because they found out and they were like, you cannot do this.
Well, dude, I'm glad you pointed out the regulatory language because Senator Benson, John Benson, Orange County Senator, pointed that out as well, the regulatory language. And there was another thing I wanted to point out, and I forgot.
Right.
It'll come back to me.
And one of the other things that I think has come up in this plan, just so people have a sense of like some examples, besides the no fossil fuel in any new home built, is the you can't do any sort of a housing development or growth unless the road is paved.
Well, that was one of the things, the limitation. There was a limitation on there, and I can't remember all the details.
On like
of it.
number of houses?
Yeah, number of units. They call them, I think it was units.
Yep.
And that's the thing. There was another question. It was asked, for the maps, there was really no key on the maps that they put out. The other thing is some of the language that they're using, where are they pulling these definitions from?
Right.
When they're using these things, these houses versus units, in all of these publications, they need to be putting out definitions. So everybody, without having knowledge of all of the statutes, can know the difference between a house and a unit.
Right,
Okay, because
definitely.
units there could be 5 units in one structure. Okay.
Yep.
So this is part of the confusion. And, I just heard a quote the other day, and I didn't save it, and I wish I did. But basically what it looks like and it sounds like in some of the meetings I've been to, what they're doing is taking $50 words, okay? And they're not trying to break them down. for people who don't understand the lingo and the jargon. And that
Right.
was one of the phrases, the lingo and the jargon. It was brought up by the presenter last night.
Right.
So it's more, okay, you will learn our language instead of we're going to interpret for you.
Right.
And that is, it's people,
That's
it
not
did
the world.
not sit well.
No, that's not people's
It
world.
really, the Randolph meeting, I saw some recordings from it, and the meeting last night, it did not sit well. The people
Right.
felt like, you're really not trying to explain this. You're trying to just tell
Talk
us
over
this.
us.
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely. It
Yeah.
was talking over. It was filibustering. It was, well, this is done. And like, there were some suggestions for changes, and there was no, I didn't leave there thinking, well, I got the impression they were going to change it. I got
Right.
the impression they think that they will consider it, and that's the best they did last
Right.
night.
So they're sort of digging their feet in, like, hey, we know better than you. And it did seem like there was a quote that was said that was posted in Rural Vermont Rising of one of the attendees that really sort of also struck at someone saying, well, we're basically right, so we're not going to listen to you. Like, you know.
Well, that's the thing that most sticks with me is the falling back on the Global Warming Solutions Act and other statutes saying, well, this is in the law, so we pulled this and that's the way it's going to go. It's totally excluding common sense from that
Right.
discussion.
Yeah.
It's totally, we know the damage that it's done. We know the damage that some of the other legislation that thankfully the governor issued an executive order, Clean Car and Truck Rule, because
my
we know how
gosh.
devastating that would be.
Right,
So
right.
what, that here we go again, car chargers.
Right. Well, I was just going to ask
Mandatory
about
car
that.
chargers?
Did
Are
they
you kidding
say?
me?
Did they have in there mandatory car chargers for like new business
that was
builds?
not brought up last night, but I know there was a
I think
a
that
quotation
is
from
in
it.
there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Really?
How much money?
How about a mandatory convenience store down the road for
know.
people with internal combustion engines?
I know. And
Wouldn't
how
that
much
be nice
more
to have
money?
some of those returned to our towns?
And how much more money are those charging stations going to be adding to the cost of business? Again, it's another barrier unless you're incredibly wealthy and you want to come build a home. So it's you're creating this like Vermont State Park, and only the elite people with money can live here or have businesses here. I mean, this is
Here's
not
a
okay.
great quote from last night. If
Yep.
you want to, because somebody asked about building on a number of lots and a number of acres. If you have $3 million and you want to do this number of houses, okay. If you have $5 million and you want to go right ahead. So basically, it affirmed
Blocking.
what I've been saying
Right.
is this is all about who has the money
Exactly.
to do the building.
Exactly.
That's
Yep.
what it is. It has nothing to do with, okay, it's family land. I want to do this. My road is going to be this long. I'm not asking permission to do the road. And I'm not telling people to go build your road
Do
right
whatever.
through the creek.
Right,
That's
right,
not what I'm
right.
saying.
Of course not.
I'm not saying suspend your common sense. We've
Right.
done that enough in the legislature. You don't need to do it.
Right.
So this is.
But I would
this is-
also say, like, Mike, this is such a fundamental difference in people who feel they know best. They have the answers. They're going to force that
I
on
read
all
a book
of us.
and I know more than you.
Right. Compared to respecting where somebody is
Yeah.
at and allowing them the choices and the opportunity to create their path versus boom, here's your thing for you. We figured it all out. We know best.
Yeah.
It's technocracy. It's technocracy.
Yeah, and it's not even look. We have this science that shows this. We see what's going on in this
But
town.
our science is better than yours, Mike. So listen, we got the science, man.
Oh, the science man. Yeah,
Oh, goodness.
that's the problem. If we don't take science, and science is what? Questioning. Okay, we found this. Now, 10 years down the road, we thought this was the only way things happen. Guess what? We
Right.
found out there's another way. So science is not steadfast.
Right.
It's not okay.
It's constantly evolving. I see
yes.
that in my nutrition work all the time. It's like, don't try to tell me butter's bad. Don't try to tell me eggs are bad. These are good food. They always have been good foods, and there's
Yeah.
been bad science around it. So,
So, ladies and gentlemen, we shall return after we pay some bills. You're listening to Right Side Up. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to Right Side Up. My name is Mike Taglavia. My co-host is Allison Despathi. Before we get into our conversation, again, rightsideUpradio@gmail.com if you'd like to drop us a line. Let's see. If you can't catch us on the radio, WNTK Radio, you can go to WNTK.com. You can find the podcast button, click on it, and scroll down to Right Side Up and listen to any number of our shows saved in podcast form. You can find us also on Podbean. You can find us on 802 Scoop YouTube, 802 Scoop Facebook, and also on granitegrok.com. So one last little point about last night's meeting. Somebody brought up the installation of solar installations, industrial solar on our ag land, and the thing that sticks for me, and it was very misleading in my personal opinion. Kevin Geiger said, well, the solar installations, when they're done, they can just be removed. And that's really oversimplification. Okay. First of all, some of these industrial solar installations don't have decommissioning in their contract, which is very dangerous. And here's why. There's no testing in some of these. Some of them do have testing before, during, and after. And that's really what needs to happen. So we know if we're interested, like
you're saying testing for contamination
testing
on soil.
For contamination,
yes,
exactly.
Heavy metals, PFAS, etc. Right.
If we're such an environmentally friendly state, if we're going to have these, and I don't agree with industrial solar on prime ag soils,
right,
then there needs to be safeguards. Testing is one of them. There needs to be decommissioning. And the oversimplification last night and the filibustering didn't sit well with me at all.
Right.
And it was an oversimplification. There are, like you said, the topsoil is stripped. There's compaction. There's erosion. If there's damage, there's glass shards. Any crop that grows in the ground, for example, potatoes, no potato contractor or grower will get a contract to sell potatoes if there has been a solar installation because of the risk of glass shards.
Yeah, they don't want glass in their potatoes.
No company will take that liability on because potatoes, and I've seen it, my wife loves growing potatoes, will grow around a piece of a tree root. They will grow around a piece of a rock.
Right.
Anything in the soil. And nobody wants to bite into a French fry that's got glass in it.
No, exactly.
So...
And I would also say, Mike, that one of the things that just gets missed is people are like, oh, yeah, we're just going to take out the panels and it's just ag land. It's like what happens is they scrape the topsoil off into a pile. That is no longer good, healthy topsoil after 20, 25 years, whatever you're talking about. And most of these things get recommissioned and they're just replacing panels. They are making so much money on these projects. So we're not talking about going back to, it's not staying local at all. It's literally most often going to big investment banks and funds as well as private equity. And that's also who we're giving the tax breaks to. Don't get me started on that one. But the bottom line, like the majority of our projects in Vermont, like give or take, it's easy to say 75% have been on prime ag land. And again, I'm in full support, as I know you are, of farmers. Like I would much rather subsidize, give tax breaks to a farmer than to private equity banks and investment funds making millions.
Only until the subsidies and the grants, only until we examine the green books.
Yes.
And we look at the regulations and we say, nope, this one we don't need anymore. Oh, this one we can modify to make it easier for farmers.
We've
Why?
incentivized
because we followed the science and we know what we can do better.
Right.
Okay.
And get these in the right places. Like that's the bottom line. Just put them on the parking lots, put them on the homes, put them on the businesses, landfills. I mean, we can do this right.
Yeah.
We got to get a handle, or we're going to end up with what's happening in New York, where they've got much larger scale, thousands and thousands of acres all over the farmland to fuel New York City's desire for renewable energy. I mean, it's devastating what's happening in rural New York. It's just heartbreaking.
Yeah, it is. It is. So we need to switch gears. I know you wanted to talk more about the governor's executive order dealing with health care. What was it, S190, because of what S190 did?
Oh, yeah. Well, S190 was the fake reference-based pricing, which was price caps, which was supposedly to help a small group of insurers people with insurance plans have reduced rates.
So his EO didn't really deal with S90 because 190, he vetoed that.
He vetoed that,
but
exactly.
He then said, okay, since the legislature, because we don't have the right numbers of people in...
you don't have the balance. You don't have the Republicans.
We don't have the Republicans
It's
who
true.
could get the correct bills, the bills that would have given us lower health care prices, more access to health care.
Right.
We didn't get those bills off the wall, so the governor said, you know what? I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And hopefully we have those numbers, 76 in the House, ladies and gentlemen.
That's
the magic number.
Right.
17 in the Senate and 76.
1776. Good year. Good year.
Yeah, isn't it though? So this is what we need. Why? Because then we will really truly have a debate. We will
Right.
have bills that make sense, come off the wall, even if there's a special interest that doesn't like it.
And it will actually force the real solutions, because S190 was not a real solution for Vermonters. And it's just fascinating when you start to go back and you really look at the history of where we went wrong on healthcare.
Yeah.
And it just blows my mind. We have two major commercial insurers. We lost at least 16, if not up to 30, 33 in the 1990s because of policy that was put in place.
Yeah.
And what that's done is it's forced a lot of the young Vermonters out of the plans. And so, like
Right.
someone like myself who doesn't have insurance because I can't afford that. And then what ends up happening is you have older people who typically require more health care. They're sicker, but there's not a big enough pool to help them cover the cost. So our costs have just obviously been on the rise. We essentially have a monopoly, and the Green Mountain Care Board, as we know, has been failing. But the governor, exactly like you said, Mike, the executive order really starts to move us towards the deep structural change to actually get affordable
That's the
health care and
primer. It
options
should
for
act as-
everybody in
Yes.
Vermont, not just for a select few, little small group, not at the expense of our hospitals who are already struggling. I mean, we just need a real solution. So he's moving us closer there. And I also want to point out, Right for Vermont Foundation, Claire Morrison's
Yep.
the executive director. She just did a really great analysis on the governor's executive order on health care, just really trying to give Vermonters the breakdown of this is what it would do, this is how it could help, this is how it will move us forward. So if people are interested in the details, but
Okay.
I think that, as we know, because we've talked about this multiple times, Mike, is we need to let more insurers in.
Open the market.
Exactly right. Exactly. And we need to have the options, and we need to make sure that there's flexibility in plans. It
Yes.
can't just be that, in order to have insurance, you have to pay for this, and this. If you don't need
What
those,
you don't
you're
need.
not interested, to be able to do this sort of a la carte healthcare.
Imagine, ladies and gentlemen, going out for dinner and having the waitress come and bring you what you didn't order.
Right.
This
Oh,
is what
well,
you're eating.
This is what you get. This is what you get.
And by the way, that's going to be,
Yeah, that's what you
50%
get.
more expensive than
Right.
anything
and
else.
it's going to be more money.
Right.
How many times will you go back to that restaurant?
No, exactly.
And this is what your legislature has done
Right.
to you, not for you.
Right. And it's
Okay.
been going on literally 70s, 80s, 90s. So I have to say, Mike, I think there's a lot of legislators who aren't even aware of the history that led to the situation that we're in right now. Because
Yeah.
Blue Cross Blue Shield, we used to share with New Hampshire. We used to be in a plan with New Hampshire and Vermont. Vermont went nonprofit to give Blue Cross Blue Shield a tax break. And basically what they said to Blue Cross Blue Shield, you've got to insure everybody same price. And then Blue Cross Blue Shield came back and was like, we're going to do a 30% rate increase. And the legislature said, oh, no, you're not. What we're going to do is we're going to force every other commercial insurer out there by doing certain policies to push any competition of this out. And so we literally have Blue Cross Blue Shield monopoly, and
Yeah.
they're failing, and it's failing overall. So we got to get this real solution in place, and the governor's executive order starts to move us towards that. And then hopefully, as you said, Mike, if we get better balance, you guys can continue changing that policy to help us, because all of us know this is at the heart of the property tax problem, one of the big
Yes.
things. This is at the heart of obviously the high cost for education.
Yes.
And there's a lot of elders, Vermonters of all ages, who are struggling to afford health care. And so if we can solve this
Absolutely.
problem, like that's just going to help across the board. It's going to help financially. It's going to help health outcomes. People get the support they need. Like, we need to figure this one out for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the idea that we can save money by closing facilities isn't helping people
No.
in small towns in rural Vermont. And since rural Vermont is 66 to 69% of the state, why is rural Vermont the first to receive the cuts?
The hit, right, exactly. And a lot of those hospitals in these rural areas are dependent on Medicare, Medicaid, and
Yeah.
many times what Medicare, Medicaid will cover doesn't even cover the expense, the full expense
Right.
that the hospital is paying. So then they have to balance it out through the commercial insurers to cover their costs and not operate in the red. So we sort of have
costs
this.
have to be absorbed by somebody.
Somehow they have to
It's
be
not
able to
free.
make money. Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's
And not like UVM, where then they're bumping up their, their high level execs with these big bonuses. Like Department of Financial Regulation can keep an eye on that to make sure. But most hospitals, I mean, my dad ran a hospital, like super amazing man, highly, highly ethical, went to school for hospital administration, president of a hospital. Like he wanted what was best for the community and for patients. And that's what most people who are running the hospitals really want. They want their hospitals to be viable. They want access to services for their communities. And right now, the Green Mountain Care Board in particular, I will call them out for sure, they have been failing in allowing our hospitals to do that. So we need to create an environment where we can make sure we have health care and coverage and access.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned your dad running a hospital. We had a committee member on my committee, Representative Larry Labor, who's not coming back. He's finally retiring.
I'm going
He's
to
in
miss
his 80s.
him. Yes.
Very smart man.
Amazing guy.
He's a good steward of the land he owns. I forgot how many acres he owns, but he does a lot on his own land.
Yep.
So he was good to have in the Environment Committee, but he's also a pharmacist,
right.
And he also ran a hospital.
Yes.
So the logical thing was to put him on the Environment Committee, right?
Well, they kept him off of healthcare because he actually had a real plan to how to solve the problem.
So this is
They kept
this
him
is
out of
why
there.
I brought this up, not to
Right.
pick on my former committee mate, who was great.
Right.
He was great, and he could have been, I think, better because of the knowledge that he could have brought to the healthcare committee. While it was just 11 people debating and talking about who to bring in to discuss healthcare policy,
Right.
healthcare affordability,
The insurance
whole thing,
issue,
the
right,
insurance issue,
right.
pharmaceutical issue.
Right.
Who better to have there to be able to sit at the other end of the tables to be able to know whether a witness was trying to give actual data or trying to mislead or
Right.
steer the committee in a direction when his own knowledge and experience would have told him otherwise.
Right. And that was
This is-
truly
this
a
is- yeah.
failure of the Democratic leadership to not put that man on the healthcare committee, which he wanted the entire time he was
Yeah.
in there. Because if you ever talked to him, he had a plan. He knew the steps to get us there.
Yeah.
And he was denied that.
And that's the thing that's why I keep saying balance. And balance is, look, it's been a very long time, ladies and gentlemen. 76 is not out of reach.
Right.
We're I think 54.
Okay,
That's
okay.
not a lot.
Yeah.
That's not a lot. Everybody who's been paying attention has seen the gains we made. Imagine how much more gains we make.
Right.
We could actually start to see affordability become a reality.
Right.
Maybe we can actually see a budget that actually cuts spending.
Right.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
Amazing.
Maybe we see education that is more available to moms and dads and students the way they want it.
Right, the school choice
The
piece,
way they
exactly.
want it.
And that's where it's like, vote for Vermont and Vermonters. Like,
Yes.
know your people, know your candidate, talk to your candidates, and let's make sure we can correct this so that we don't have a continued exodus from our state. We do not need people leaving.
Right.
We need
We-
people coming.
Yes, we want a
Yes.
net gain year over year.
Yes.
We want anybody. I don't care what age you are.
Right.
If you like the state of Vermont, I want you to find the state of Vermont attractive, both financially and for the Green Mountains and for everything else you can do in this beautiful Green Mountain state.
Right. Do you think we could get a no income tax?
Oh,
We got a long
would
road.
yeah, we got a long road, but why not set your goals high?
True.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed the show today. Remember, stay safe, stay informed, listen to Right Side Up.